This live?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
You look good live. Hey everybody, welcome back to Breakfast with Bob, Boston Marathon Edition. My name is Bob Babbitt. We are presented and hosted by Hyland. Stop your cramp, not your race. By Polar. Check out the Polar Vantage M and the Marathon Edition. You can perform, work out, energize. And speaking of UCAN, a spokesperson for UCAN Forever, please give it up for Boston Marathon champion, New York City Marathon champion, Olympic silver medalist, Mr. Meb Keflezighi. How you doing, Meb?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Bob.
Now, so are you running on Monday? What are you doing?
On Monday, I'm the Grand Marshal.
So that means you don't have to run.
I'm not running. So for the first time in being 11 years.
11 years.
No marathon for me.
So you sit in a car.
So, yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
But still see the course of Boston Marathon, so it should be fun.
That's really cool. So, first of all, since you came over here from UCAN, talk a little bit about, you've been involved with UCAN from the very beginning. Talk a little bit about the product and what brought you to UCAN.
Well, I'm so honored to be on the UCAN team. It started with Jonah, who had a rare disease to glycogen deficiency or be able to store energy. So his parents have to wake him up in the middle of the night to feed him. Otherwise, the consequences are not good. So they did super starch that allowed him to sleep through the night. So they used to set up an alarm to wake up in the middle of the night to feed Jonah. And then they discovered UCAN, and they slept through, which is a relief for the mom and dad. And basically that's how it started. And then it never started for elite athlete. It was just more survival. And once that happened, they tried it in 2009. I tried it, and it came across, and I loved it. And ever since it gave me, it was my hidden secret or behind the weapon, because I wasn't willing to share too much of that information. But it's been a secret of mine for be able to keep me, through tempo runs, intervals, and long runs. The first thing I ever have after those events are the UCAN. Well,
it's fascinating because when you look back at your career, there was almost like two Meb Keflezighi careers, right? You had after the Olympic trials in 2008, you hurt your hip. You didn't know if your career was over. You had the day after the trials, you crawled to the window to watch the New York City Marathon because you couldn't stand.
Absolutely.
And your career could have been over. You were actually thinking it was over.
In fact, yeah, I had a talk with my wife and my brothers that I was going to retire Christmas of 2007. When I didn't make the team, I tell them I'm going to need your support more than ever because I'm thinking of retiring and see what I'm going to do. But, I knew what I was doing in training what did not exemplify that day. But in terms of strength, in terms of my body, I know there was something bigger. And I remember my wife and I praying about it. If it was Olympic silver medal, third place in Boston, second place in New York is good enough, I'm okay with it.
Yes.
What is the next chapter in my life? But I know internally from the workouts that I was doing that it was not over. So we prayed about it, and God gave us the strength to give us a second life. And then obviously another one is in 2010 after I could not defend my championship in New York. Nike let me go, so I was devastated. I went 7 months without a shoe contract, and I had UCAN and Powerball probably at the time, but I didn't have the income was decreasing as my family was growing, so it was a tough time for me. But Skechers came to the plate and gave me another life. So my second, like you said, the second or the third Meb that you mentioned. So I was able to overcome those challenges and made 2 Olympic team since, and then winning the Boston Marathon also.
And when you think about it, at the time you signed with Skechers, people didn't look at Skechers as a performance shoe. Everybody was like, oh my God, Meb signed with Skechers? What's the deal on that? But you helped them become a performance shoe.
Yeah, I had a meeting with them basically, and they were happy to get my credibility.
Yes.
But at the same time, I said the only credibility that I'm going to get is when I see my name on the top of the list as a U.S. marathoner. I remember having sent that conversation with them. I tell them I could PR in the half marathon, and I could pray on the marathon. I can't do the 5K, 10K, but if you're looking for long distance, I'm your guy. And I remember signing the contract August 1st of 2011, and he said, we're so happy we have you. And I said, you know what, I'll be happy when I put my name at the top of the list of the U.S. distance running. I ran a PR that year, and I helped them design it. Kurt Stockbridge is another guy that's been there. We redesigned the shoes for performance, and I'm biased, but it's equally as anybody in this running sports of shoes. So, I was be able to help them design, be able to run with them, try them. I used to have my own brand, and then be able to give them feedback. And then when we felt comfortable, everybody can use it. We share the knowledge.
So when you look at coming into this race after the bombings, 2013, we're going down the marathon list and we're looking at the PRs, right? 37th PR, Meb Keflezighi, right? So going into the race, there's not a lot of people thinking, okay, 37th PR of all the people in this race. I don't think Meb's going to win this race. But you had a sense, you had the names of the four people who lost their lives on your race number, and you had a feeling that this was going to be a special day.
Absolutely, because in 2013, a lot was taken from all of us in the city of Boston, and the life that we can never get back. I remember after the men's finish, before any of the catastrophic bombing occurred, I sent a text to Ryan Hall that says, "We can do this. We can do this," meaning we can win this. Because
as Americans.
As an Americans, the winning time was 2:10, 22 or something. It's within an ability, and he said, we'll get after it. And then, obviously, that afternoon, the catastrophic disaster happened, and then...
And you were in the stands.
I was in the stand for 4+ hours, In fact, 2 days ago, I met somebody who I took a picture when he was crossing the finish. People helped him get across the finish line. And I'm a sportive fan. I love marathoning. I love what it does. I used to take notes. My book just came out, 26 Marathon, but what the human spirit is, what challenges we face, how supportive it is, the camaraderie that it brings. So I was taking notes, how people are helping each other, and then I left because I had an appointment, and then 5 minutes later, the bombing occurred, and all you can throw is a cry and say, how can somebody take away from us? But then Bonnie Ford from ESPN asked me, are you going to be able to come back again to support the race? I said, well, I have to be back to support, but I hope to be healthy enough for the people to win it. And on April 21st, 2014, I wasn't the fastest. I was the 18th fastest guy in the field, almost 39 years old.
That's right, yes.
Less than 1% chance to win, but nobody can test the heart and the desire of the Boston Strong mantra. And, having the bibs, the names, the victims on my bib to be able to draw inspiration. When you look down, when you get tired, you look down. There's a reason why you're doing this for. And I was hurting pretty bad. I wanted to drop out at one point, but the crowd carried me through. And, people are chanting USA, USA, go Meb. And at that point, you just want to give it all you have. And, I never seen in a marathon people doing the waves. They were doing the waves.
They were doing the waves. You run down the street.
It was incredible. So you get that energy and coming across the finish line in front of the 36,000 people who wanted to partake of the Boston, owning it, how wonderful it is, the joyous, the camaraderie that it brings together. I was just fortunate enough to be the one coming across first.
And the first time in over 30 years, an American came across that line first. And that was the most important marathon. We used to look at Frank Shorter's win in '72, and obviously that was a big win for America in the Munich at the Olympics. But your win in 2014 has to be looked at as the greatest win in American history.
Well, I'm honored you're saying that, but we all have different reasons, different point of our careers, but for me, I know that's the most meaningful victory ever for me and the defining moment for me. Even though I had won silver medal, even though I had won the New York City Marathon after not making the Olympic team, that was my personal Olympics for me. But in terms of general public, the Boston 2014 stands at the top because they can remember when they were and what they were feeling, crying, yelling, and screaming, or just enthusiastically jumping around when they heard the news of Vine of running the marathon in Boston. They say everybody tells me where they were that moment when I won the Boston Marathon. So it has become an iconic race for many of people.
How did your life change after that? All of a sudden you got President Obama tweeting about you. I mean, all of a sudden you go from Meb runner to Meb A-list celebrity.
Well, it's when a police officer or a firefighter do their job day in and day out, they find somebody saving a boy or saving somebody, and they become the heroic. And for me, winning the Boston Marathon, I always wanted to win. I always wanted to push myself to the limit. It's not for lack of training. But to be able to get a call from President Barack Obama from Air Force One and to be invited to the White House for dinner, it was just an incredible. I know that's when it says, my life will never be the same again.
So you have a new book out. Talk a little bit about that.
My new book is called 26 Marathons. I did my first marathon in New York in 2002. I said, this is the worst thing ever. I never want to do a marathon again.
Because you were a 5K, 10K guy.
I was a 5K, 10K guy.
Who wanted to be a miler.
Who wants to be a miler, yeah, absolutely. But, I went back to Eritrea after 2 weeks, and I saw how people were living day in, day out, where they have to go to the well to get water. They have to go miles to get Woodstock and have a fire. So I came back energized. I wanted to do Boston actually, but Bob Larson, my coach, kind of talked me out of it because they're both tough courses. Because I missed the A standard by 35 seconds. So you run a marathon, you miss it by 35 seconds. Like, I don't want to do the second ray again. So that's why I did, and then came back and then fell in love with the marathon. And obviously, so I done 26 marathons, competitive marathons, and the life lessons that I learned through faith, running, and life and identity is described in my new book, 26 Marathons.
And last week, the resurgence of the Carlsbad 5000, one of the epic races in our sport. And you have an ownership role, and the event had been owned by a competitor group, and I think it got a little lost because they're focused on rock and roll. Now, with you guys back on board, with people who are in San Diego who love the event and know how special it is, last week was the rebirth of the event. The event went was incredibly successfully. I think you had a record, 13:29, right?
Yeah.
Now the new 5K road record. Being an owner, how fun is that?
It was a great exciting to be being back in Carlsbad where I partake before, and to be as an owner now and part owner with Ashley Gibson and local guys in San Diego. It's just great because you can tell the people want to get treated right. People want to taken care of. They want a well-organized race, and the vibrant energy, the feedback was just amazing. I was just honored to be there, to be able to put high five or put a medal around their neck or run with the people's run and to be interacting. So first time we did really well. We are excited, but there's always room for growth. There's a room for improvement. And Ashley done a great job. I'm just honored to be able to be on her team, and among others, to rebirth of the Carlsbad 5000. And people come from Virginia, from Boulder, or from Tampa, or from many others to partake. That is a fast course. As you saw, it was Edward Chester tied the world record, so it gave us a good credential also to the still is in existence, and hopefully we could do better and better next year as the 35th anniversary.
What have you learned from the last number of years? You've been doing a lot of races where you're a pacer. You're running a 1:30 half marathon or something like that. Has that been a lot of fun for you?
Oh, I'm having a blast in terms of running with the masses or running with my fellow runners. You know, you'll be able to tell them about the Boston victory. You'll be able to tell them about the Athens silver medal or the New York win or the INJ run. So my thing is to run with them, pace them, but also tell them stories. Hopefully by their mile 10, they say, we're already here, so they get their minds off. So it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, and it's a little bit harder on my wife and kids when I travel around the country, but at the same time, you as a runner, you can you can see the impact that you have on people. I feel blessed to be in that pedestal, an honor for me. People want to meet me, greet me, want me to pace them, or they tell you about the Boston victory, or they want to tell you about your book. And then even Met for Mortals for older people, this is like, this people got me to Boston. This book got me to my first marathon. So you hear those things, and it's very rewarding.
It's always funny. Here you were, a little kid in Morley Field, watching
Pennsylvania Canyon.
Yeah, Pennsylvania Canyon, where we'd see each other every Thanksgiving morning. That was the funny. I'd be hiding stuffed animals in my turkey outfit, and it was 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm out there, and who's running the other way at 6 o'clock in the morning on Thanksgiving morning, getting his workout? It was Meb Keflezighi, while I'm on a mountain bike in a turkey outfit, hiding stuffed animals for our ride and tie events. But it showed me how dedicated you are and have always been. I always think back to you being a little kid, or 12 years old, being at Morley Field, not speaking much English, watching people running, but not chasing a soccer ball. Right? And you're thinking, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. They're running for no reason. There's no ball.
Absolutely. In Eritrea, I grew up without electricity and running water, or not like a sport. Girls played, they jump rope, and the guys played soccer, makeshift of soccer ball. We didn't even have a real soccer ball. So when I went to the United States, people said, you want to play football? And you're like, okay, nod your head. And then they brought the American football.
What the heck is that thing? Yeah.
We dribbled the soccer ball from our apartment to the Morley Field, and then we juggled the ball. We played the soccer, and we saw this was Foot Locker or Kenya at the time. People are running. I'm like, why are the people running? They're not chasing anything. They're crazy. Well, I became one of those crazy people.
You were the crazy people.
Eventually, I ran the Foot Locker. I was a runner-up, and then eventually just became the crazy person that runs the 5K, the 10K, the half marathon, and full marathon. Guess what? I'm a big fan of those crazy people now.
I love it. How about a round of applause for Meb Keflezighi, America's greatest marathoner. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We will be right back.